Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Mismapasion and Feliz Navidad and a Happy New Year to you all. And if you're seeing this video in your recommended section on YouTube, even though it should be on your subscription section instead, wink wink, nudge nudge, subscribe. You know what that means, and yes indeed, it is the long-awaited return of the WSL that dished up a satiating weekend of return that started and ended with some big matchups that were riddled with some high-scoring encounters in between. So without any more rambling, let us get right into it. The action kicked off on Friday night with Brighton taking the trip up the country to Merseyside, where they were hosted by Liverpool in what was unsurprisingly an intense affair that both teams were gung-ho about coming out the victor. Liverpool were the early dominators with their work rate at the back being complemented so superbly well up front, and that was typified with Olivia Smith, who went on a solo charge, beating her marker and lobbing her effort brilliantly to give the Reds the deserving lead going into the second half. Brighton, for their efforts, did well to keep themselves in the game, especially after a beleaguered first half performance that was encapsulated by some very near misses and a haggard backline who were lucky to not have conceded more goals. Such was the fire in the bellies of the home team. The Seagulls' luck continued as halfway through the second 45, Enderby's far post attempt just narrowly went wide to keep them alive, and that luck would shine once more not too long after as a deflected shot from Paris would go into the back of the net. The game would reach a satisfying crescendo with Liverpool, the better of the two, were in search of the winner, and the rub of the green would eventually fall upon them as another deflected shot, this time from Fisk, would greet the outstretched leg of Karabali, who had been rock solid at the back for her team up to this point, to wind up in the back of the net to give the Reds a deserved win to get their 2025 off to a very, very wonderful start. Saturday's only action saw us returning to Merseyside, but this time to the blue side, with Everton welcoming Aston Villa in what is exactly the kind of match you'd expect when you see the teams mentioned. Aston Villa, as always, were potent going forward and were superior in the opposition box, but failed to capitalize time and again on that potential to generate some goals, and this was the case up until the 30th minute, where Rachel Daly greeted a cross to head home. The dominance continued for Villa for the rest of the game, but yet again, they could not make all their wonderful attacking plays account for something tangible, as Everton's stubborn defense stood firm time and again, with the likes of Brosnan answering the call to keep their team in the game. And that defensive rigidity would pave the way to a reprieve for the Toffees, who not only hung on to prevent another goal going in to all but guarantee the L, but went on to level in the dying embers, the substitute via Tricky Sari, firing one home from the edge of the box to force a draw and have both teams share the spoils of what was a thrilling game that honestly deserved more than just 2 goals in the end. Sunday was jam-packed and chock full of action as the remaining games of the week were crammed into the final day of the weekend, which began with Tottenham playing host to Leicester City, which wasted little time to see a call as a cheeky nutmeg shot attempt from Nilden proved fruitful as it went past the keeper's legs to give Spurs the early goal in just the 4th minute of the game. To their credit, Leicester came back fiery and could have scored the equalizer had Cayman not experienced high ping when faced with an empty net sitter attempt despite the hard work from the likes of Takarada in particular. The rest of the match went about as predictably as you would imagine, as Spurs held on well and quelled any potential attempts by Leicester to equalize as they stretched their unbeaten run against the Foxes to now 7 games, with the away side lamenting their poor fortunes in front of goal as they had numerous attempts to draw things level, but it was just not meant to be on this day. Our next 2 games feature 2 of the WSL's very best going up against, comparatively speaking, very weak opposition, and as you can imagine, it was very much one-way traffic in Arsenal and Chelsea's respective games against Crystal Palace and West Ham United. Both the league leaders and chasers ran out dominant 5-0 winners in their London derbies, with Chelsea's demolition coming courtesy of Macario, Cuthbert and Beaver Jones in the first half, with the standard beautifully taken goals as expected of Chelsea, before Baltimore and a Tisiak own goal from a failed block rounding out the goal fest in East London. South London, meanwhile, was lit up early on by Leah Williamson before Alessia Russo from a poacher's instinct, Beth Mead with a trademark one-touch strike, and Mariona Caldente from the spot and in stoppage time put the effective boots in Crystal Palace under Renee Slager's first game in charge as permanent Arsenal women's head coach, because of course, if you haven't heard by now, she signed a ting. In what were a pair of excellent wins that will boost the confidence of the victors, who have definitely jump-started their 2025s in style. The final action of the game week was the mouth-watering derby encounter in Manchester, with both teams coming in motivated to get their 2025 off to a good start, with United looking to resume their positive momentum while City were looking for some momentum of their own off the back of their very poor finish to 2024 domestically. City was without talisman Chloe Kelly amongst other players as well, amidst the saga of her contract situation, with the Sky Blues opponent on this day even suggested in the tabloids to have cheekily offered a loan deal for her, with her absence being felt as something just felt, again, off for City's attack, as we'll get into here. The opposite was true though for Manchester United, who were close to going 1-0 up early on in the game thanks to Galton, but then Ella Toon would romp her side into the lead with a cheeky finish to open the scoring. The celebrations would resume just a few minutes later as the aforementioned Galton would finally get her name on the score sheet as a corner attempt would see the ball land at her feet where she needed no further invitation beyond that to put it away. Now, watching this game, I don't know whether there was something in the water at the Etihad campus or what, but City were just off in this game. Like a 3-week-old pizza left on the counter with the lid open, because their performance was really abysmal. And Man United's third goal really exemplified this, as an inexplicably misplaced pass from Alexandri went straight to Toon again, who was literally facing down the mouth of goal. And again, she had one job, and did she deliver on it, to make it 3-0 to the Red Devils in the first half. And at this point in the game, United were cruising and City just looked hapless. The former were full of confidence, but as the saying goes, pride is the devil, and United's confidence seemed to just go a little bit into that over territory, and it would come to haunt them as a cross from an unmarked fouler found the forehead of Miedema, who pulled a goal back with minimal resistance from said defense. The comeback would well and truly be on, as all of a sudden City came alive and nearly came close to reducing the deficit yet again, but Tullis Joyce prevented the same mistake from happening again, but could not prevent the second goal from coming in regardless the second time round, as nevertheless in the first half of stoppage time, the first time starter Rebecca Knack headed home from a corner to give City hope going into the second half with her very first goal for the citizens. The second 45, you will be happy to hear, did not disappoint as both teams came out raring to go, but it would be Ella Tood who channeled the voracious energy the most, as she and Galton combined to raise some commotion from some really bad miscommunication between Keating and Kanak at the kickoff to grant Toon the match ball, courtesy of her tucking away into an empty net to continue as she had started. The remainder of the second half was very intense and nail-biting as City came bearing down with their signature neat and tidy attacking plays, but the likes of Ward and Fowler found no way through against the resurgent United defense. The visitors would hold on for dear life, and their grip on the lead would hold firm as Manchester would be painted red as United ran out, deserving 4-2 winners in a magnificent thriller to end the returning game week with a thrilling crescendo. With the end of this game week, we are officially halfway through the 24-25 WSL season, and nothing is still certain when it comes to relegation candidates, as 8 and 9 placed Villa and Everton respectively are closer to the relegation spots than they are to the relative safety of Brighton in 5th place. Chelsea, meanwhile, are 7 points clear at the top, still unbeaten, with Arsenal and Man United being the closest to them in the title race. Now, what were your thoughts on Game Week 11 of the WSL, and which match stood out the most for you? Leave your comments and thoughts on this and anything else that transpired in this game week in the comments below. Let me know also how excited you are that the WSL is back, and how do you see it all ending come the end of the season. But until then, please make sure to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.